Weather Impact Meteorologist Gary Frank here with an update as we talk about the big story for us is, of course, the snow. And that's one of the things that we're going to look at here over the next several hours is the fact that we have snow on the way. There's no doubt about that. Snow is on the way. We're going to see a couple of different things here in terms of opportunities for snow. First and foremost, light snow is on Monday. We've got more heavy snow on Tuesday, and then the bitter Arctic cold that follows. And that's going to be the main story. And one thing I'll put up as well, you can text your questions to 314-425-5355. I've got updates here, so we'll continue to look at that as well as we have the opportunities for looking ahead for some of that snow. And what you'll notice here, I'll go through the whole thing and then I'll answer some of your questions here at the bottom if you do text that, and I'll try to answer your questions here. Here's what we're dealing with right now. And, you know, overall, there's not much going on. You'll see the cloud cover that comes to a close. We've got a little bit of a break here, and that's where some really cold air will settle in. Now, there are a couple of different little disturbances here as I switch radar products here so you can see more of them. We have these little disturbances here, but part of it is the main system that's eventually going to arrive and work its way down into some of this colder air, which obviously is without a doubt, we're involved in it, right? It is going to continue to stay on the cold side. But what you'll notice here as we talk about where this cold air is, you know, watch what's happening here. As I pull this back out, you can text your questions there as well, and I'll pull this back at times and change it up. We have temperatures here in the single digits. In many cases, between 5 to 10 degrees. We're in the mid-20s here. That cold air will continue to spill into the area overnight. And you'll notice that here over the next several minutes, that's going to continue to be the case here as we head into the next several hours. Watch where this cold air kind of settles in. And you'll notice as I put this on a full screen, there's not much going on overnight. Clouds separate, we're in the mid-teens, and then clouds thicken up just in time for sunrise. But watch where we're maybe going to see a few light to moderate snow showers. I think that's not out of the question by mid-morning, and even into the early afternoon in some cases. I think better opportunities to the north, but still, it's something I want you to be prepared for here as we look ahead tomorrow. So as we kind of update you on what's going on here, I think from a standpoint of, you know, what we're dealing with here, we've got, you know, pretty decent north breeze at 15 to 20 miles an hour that's going to make it feel on the colder side. It will blow some of that snow around, but temperatures aren't going to warm up all that much here. So as we've got a few things coming up, and I got a couple questions here that are coming in, and so I'm going to answer those here shortly as I kind of let you get through this whole spiel. Like I said, I appreciate you guys texting me here, and I'm going to go through the whole system and how this is all setting up and answer you guys' questions here specifically. So once again, thanks for doing that as well. I'm monitoring that. I was checking Facebook as well, but I'm not sure that we're live on Facebook here at this point, so no big deal. We'll try to figure out what we're going to do later on. But I do want to talk about where this is going to start, because as we're talking about this by Monday, watch where that settles in. But by Tuesday night, look how Tuesday morning, look how the first part of the day is going along. And that's where I think we're going to see the first part of this storm system set up. It's Tuesday morning. We're kind of on the northern fringe of this, right across 70, and you have some light to moderate snow. There's still a break here to the south, but that's where the heaviest snow is going to settle in. And you'll notice how this goes over the next several hours. Watch how the snow continues to feed in. As we look at this from 10, 11, 12 o'clock, watch how more of that moderate snow really settles in. And let's just look at this from a duration standpoint here, because as this starts Tuesday morning, maybe a little bit of a break, but picks up in intensity in the afternoon, that's where we're going to see the heaviest snow continue. 8, 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, it's still snowing. And because of the just extreme duration that we have at this point, just if nothing else, the fact that it's going to snow for so long just tells us that we are going to get this, not only it's going to stick, but we're going to have issues throughout the area. So in terms of how much we're going to deal with here, let's look at where we are from a watch warning standpoint here at this moment. And this is where we're looking at this wide belt of this entire winter storm watch. There's one area that's under a winter storm warning, and that of course includes a couple of our counties as well. This involves Rolla, this involves areas to the southwest. This was issued by the National Weather Service office in Springfield, and there's no doubt about it. They are going to get the heaviest snow throughout the entire area. But there are some areas like St. Louis, and most of us are under a winter storm watch. It's a matter of who's going to be involved in that winter storm warning. We're not sure just yet. The National Weather Service is going to make that call as more data comes in, whether it's tonight, whether it's tomorrow morning as well. And so that's what I want to look at right now, because I want to show you some of the, not only what this is going to set up, but, you know, let's talk about where we are in terms of what this may look like, because we obviously have very frigid air that settles in as well. But I want to show you a couple of things in terms of why we're looking at this from a forecast standpoint of before I show you some of the probabilities for snowfall. We have, obviously the last snowfall was more of a packing snow. That's the snowball snow. That's harder to shovel, that kind of snow. This snow, as we're talking about temperatures that are much, much colder, we'll see that variety where, and I put this on a full screen for you before I come back out to it, where, this type of snowfall is going to be much, much different. The last time we had all this snow that settled into the area, well, it was cold, but it wasn't that cold. It didn't get cold till later. So when we had temperatures that were close to freezing and close to 30, we had snowfall rates. We had snowfall ratios that were some 7 to 8 to 1, where 7 to 8 inches of snow equaled 1 inch of water. Well, at this point, it's much colder. You have this dry snow here, and we're going to see somewhere between 15 to 18, close to 20 inches of snow that will equal 1 inch of water. And so that's why we're going to see probably a little more snow, and the fact that we have the duration as well, that's where I think we're going to see issues. And so as I put this back on this here, that's where I think we're going to see a little bit more snow overall. There's no doubt about it though. This is all snow, and that's all we're going to be dealing with is just snow here at this point. So as we continue to look at things, I want to show you what I expect here in terms of probability. And I want to start off with Litchfield, because as we have Litchfield, I want to go somewhere that's a little further north, right? And I've updated things where you can see where we have 12 inches of snow is equal to, we have the potential for 12 inches of snow is lower. It's about 4%. But when you get closer to that 6 inch, 4 inch rate, it's a little higher. And that's where I think you're going to see not quite as much, but probably somewhere between 3 to 6 inches. And as I just scan this and show you where we are with the probabilities in St. Louis, look at the difference here. Right around the St. Louis area, you're talking about almost a 90% chance of at least 4 inches of snow, which, like I just showed you, the duration of this snowfall tells us that at the very least it's going to be very easy because it's snowing all day. But when we get to 6 inches, that's still pretty good numbers. And even over 8 inches, and even a 25% chance that we have over a foot of snow. And that's, once again, part of the duration factor and the fact that this is a dry, fluffy snow, and a little bit of moisture is going to be very efficient in producing snow at this point. The other spot I want to show you, which is much higher, is Farmington. You are involved in a spot that I think is likely to be involved in a winter storm warning at some point, because you're seeing a 34% chance that you're going to see over a foot of snow, but a pretty high opportunity that is over 8 inches of snow. So significant accumulating snowfall. So taking in all that data and all those processes as we talk about that efficient snow producers, I want to look at the expected snowfall map that I drew and where I think we're in pretty good shape in terms of where we are. Because I think at this point, and some of the questions have asked this, at some point here, we are upwards of 3 to 6 inches in Litchfield, Jerseyville, Alton, Vandalia, but in Edwardsville, in that northern blue area from Chesterfield all the way to Shiloh, Nashville, maybe even Sparta as well, you're in that 6 to 10 inch range, because I do think that you're going to see, the consistent snowfall. You're still in some of those heavier bands and that consistent duration. But when we get closer to that area in Rolla, where, in Farmington, where you're going to see more of this continue, that's where I think Centerville, Fredericktown, Farmington, Perryville, Potosi, Rolla, Cuba, Sullivan, those are the areas that I expect over a foot of snow is pretty likely at this point. So as I look at this, and I'll pull this back out for you, I'm going to leave this on here, that's where I think we're dealing with the most significant part of this. The other aspect of it, of course, has to do with the fact that it is mighty cold, and as we continue to look at that, I think you've got not only that, but 3 weather impact alert days that have to do with the mighty cold. And I do want to show you this 10-day forecast, because it's at least a little comforting that this is not happening in January, right? Because this is happening in January, we got issues. But I don't think that we have that quite as much. So like I said, we always try to do these things on the fly, and so you can kind of see this. I'll move this over and I'll move Friday out of here, although it's not out of the question it could be cold enough on Friday. That's where we are in terms of weather impact alerts, because we are going to see temperatures that are very cold, and I'll pull this back on. for heavy snow for Tuesday, you're going to see a pretty good likelihood that temps are in the mid-teens here. And as we look into Wednesday, it is cold. And that's one thing that we're going to look at as well, because I think with a fresh coating of snow, you're going to look at most of this here. And let's see, we've got, like I said, the next several days. Let's see that, put the 10-day forecast up, and I showed you that, but I want to put the 7-day forecast. Let's put the 10-day forecast up so you can see that we're probably going to get close to 60 degrees by the early next week. However, look at the heavy snow. Temps from the teens into the single digits below zero. It's cold. We have some late snow tomorrow, but the most significant factor is the fact that we've got some pretty consistent heavy snow while it's cold. And so that's what we're looking at. I'll put the snowfall map on for you as I continue to maybe answer some questions here. And we've got some pretty good questions here in the chat, or just general specific questions. We've got one that is starting with 222. Hi, I've got a question about the snowstorm coming in. I was watching KSDK. How much snow do you think for the metro area? Well, you know, I think that we're in pretty good shape in terms of 6 to 10 inches. Certainly could be on the higher side of things. It's not out of the question just because of the duration and maybe the way that the snowfall is going to set up in that regard. But I do think that we're in a pretty good spot with 6 to 10 inches of snow for Tuesday into early Wednesday. Once again, I got a question that says, how much snow are we getting? I don't know where you live. Somewhere on this map, that's the best opportunity that I can tell from that one, and that's from phone number 466. I've got a question that, do you think the storm crack could push north at all to the extent that the metro gets 8 to 12 inches? That's a pretty decent question, so let me pull some things up for you here. I'll leave this on a full screen while I futz around with a few things, and I'll show you what I like to do on some of these where I pull up different computer models. I don't think that that's what's going to happen, but I do like to point out maybe the differences between these models, and I'll do it. Let's do it Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Here's Tuesday at 1 o'clock's model. Actually, let's do it at Tuesday at 3 because I want them to have a little bit of symmetry here in terms of what it may look like on the radar, and this should probably get it there. That'll be close enough. Well, actually, let's do it at 6 because I think all of them are going to have it in the metro at 6, and that's what I want to do for you. So I'm going to do that. I'm answering these questions on the fly here. So let's do that. There's model number 1. We saved that. I'll pull that up, and I'm going to try to pull them all up in a row to where we can do that. And then let's do model number 2. We're going to change the time frame. Once again, I'm going to change the time frame to Tuesday at 6 o'clock at night. So as we get to 6 o'clock at night, that's where I can give you a better idea of what to expect here, because I do think that we're going to see, some pretty widespread snow. So there you go with that right now. That's one thing that we're looking at, of course, and then I've got one more model that I'm going to pull out for you and try to give you an idea. I think the short answer is I think a lot of them are lined up pretty well, and I'm not sure that we're going to see that shift north. It's not out of the question. I do think that there's a small possibility that we could see maybe our snow overperform in that regard to where we could get to 8 to 10 inches pretty easily, simply because everything that falls is going to stick, and it's, this is this dry snow. See, this is where we are, and I think there's still some questions here. So, that's why I think our National Weather Service has not added any sort of differences here. So I'm going to pull this back out. I'll actually leave it here so you can text your questions here as I continue to monitor this. So here's model number 1 that I showed you as answering this question from phone number 402. It's a 618 area code, so that's on the Illinois side. So we've got Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Here's model number 1. I'm going to click model number 2. Some pretty decent similarities, although it's stretched it a little further, but you'll notice here, the similarities here are the fact that we have these darker shades to the south. That's the bullseye. That's where that winter storm warning currently lies. As I go to model number 3, that's more of our in-house model that we can take a look at here, and that's got not much snow to the north, but much more to the south. And I think really all of them, if you look at all of them, I think we're in a pretty good symmetry that it's probably not going to stretch too much further north. It's not out of the question. All of us are getting snow, but it's just, I don't know that we're going to see that nudge too much further north. I think this area from Rolla to the south, those are the counties that I think are probably going to be under the winter storm warning. It might nudge as north as St. Louis, but I think that it's going to be maybe Jefferson County, maybe the furthest north, and then we'll have some sort of winter weather advisory. But if we get 6 to 10 inches of snow in St. Louis and we're confident about it, you're probably going to be under a winter storm warning, and that's going to be the furthest north that it goes. You may add some other counties to a winter weather advisory. That's what I expect the National Weather Service is mulling. Regardless, it's going to snow, and you're going to get at least 6 inches of snow, I think, in some cases here. So I'll put that back on here. I'll put this here, and let me look at some of the other questions. If when the track moves, do you anticipate heavy snow moving north, south, or east? Okay, so it's a good question. Here's what I think this is going to look at. You're going to see all this coming here in from west to east, I think, the way that this is settled in. You'll notice how, as I put this model just into play through Tuesday, watch where this is coming from west to east. And you're going to see that. So most of that is just going to continue. That really wanted to speed by for some reason, but we'll get. And watch this from 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. It just continues to go from west to east in this big, wide area of snow. And I think that's why that we have such a concern for consistent snowfall throughout the area, even past 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. So I do think that it's a sure thing. It's going to be moving in from west to east. It's just which part of that you're going to be involved in. Are you going to be involved in that heavier band that's kind of set up here, or you're going to be involved in the northern edge of that where the snowfall rates are a little lower? So that's one thing that we're looking at as well. I got a comment from somebody that's very nice that says, no question, just thanks for the long form updates, very informative and educational. I appreciate that because we try to explain why these things go into the forecast. I do a shorter version so you can watch it. That's typically what I get from, if you watch the 5 and 10 o'clock news, they give me about 3.5 minutes. We talk then I can talk a little bit longer and kind of show you what's going on, because if I do enough of these updates and we put them on there, then you can look at them pretty consistently and see where the changes in the forecast and kind of what we're thinking. So that's kind of the idea about it. So let's see, thank you for that. Hi, I'm visiting family in Chicago. I'm driving back down on Tuesday, maybe come back tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think, looks to be the better idea. I think Tuesday is going to be difficult. It's going to be so cold, the snow's going to be blowing across the road, and, if you're driving from Chicago, theoretically, you're not going to see the snow, depending on when you leave, until about midday. I think it's going to be more snow in the St. Louis area. It just depends on where you go. If you're driving back down from Chicago, and if you really want to get up super early, I think you're okay in that regard. But the later you wait on Tuesday to come back, the worse that it is. So let's see, we got the next question. What about Montgomery County through Lincoln County? I think you're still dealing with, you're still in that 6 to 10 inch range. I really do think that's where you are, just because most of that snow is going to continue to start up, and you may even get a little more tomorrow as well. That was from a little 573 number, so our Missouri side. How far south is metro area? What can we expect by Herculaneum? Good question. I think Herculaneum is definitely going to be involved in that, probably close to 10 to 12. If we look at where this is on the map here, I think you're probably going to be right on the edge of where I've changed those colors here, specifically in Crystal City, and I'll pull this back out. The closer to this line that you are, if you're in Crystal City or right on the edge where I've kind of drawn a darker shade of blue, the more likelihood you're going to see that higher end number or lower end here. That's the way that this is setting up, just because of the consistent nature of snowfall. So that's a good question there as well. What do you think the Fenton area is going to shape up with? Same type of thing. I really think you're in that 6 to 10 inch belt for that question. That was 809 number. We've got Carbondale, Illinois snow inches projection. Further south, thanks for joining into the live stream. I think you're going to see upwards of a foot of snow to the south. I think it's, that's where the heavier bands are going to set up for that as well. I live close to Rolla. Should I be worried about the weight on my roof? I think in some regard, we have to watch out for it, because yes, it's going to be there for 3 to 4 days at minimum, but you're also going to see this snow will blow around at a pretty consistent nature. So perhaps it will blow around with your roof. I know that they have some roof melt stuff that you can throw up there that's safe, but upwards of an inch. This is a light powdery snow. This is not the heavy wet snow, so I'm not as concerned about it from a weight standpoint, because it will be very light. even though it's the light fluffy snow, it'll blow around. It's not a high moisture content snow. So this is from someone that is in Rolla. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out. That was one of the questions here on this live stream as we talk about that. And those are questions that you can text to 314-425-53. And if you have your name and where you are, let me know about that so I can talk about it. So if you're listening to that specifically. The next question I got was from an 803 number. What can Chesterfield expect on Monday? I think Monday is okay. It's cold, it's windy. We may see another half an inch of snow in Chesterfield just because we have some light snow showers around. But as far as travel is concerned or preparation for the storm tomorrow, I think is okay in that regard. Let's see. How much snowfall do you think Warrenton, Missouri will see? Are we in the lighter band? Good question. I think you're actually still in that 6 to 10 inches. I think you're probably on the 6 to 7 inches if I can guess the way it is right now, just as a person who has driven through Warrenton 100 times plus on 70. I do think you're just kind of on the northern edge of things, but it's not out of the question that you could still get 7, 8, 9 inches of snow. But that's the way I see it. The closer you are to the northeast, the lesser snow you're going to get. The further southwest you go, the totals continue to get higher the way I see it right now. So thanks for your question. We got a comment and a question. These streams are my favorite thing you guys do. We appreciate that. I was wondering if you knew how difficult driving would be Tuesday and Wednesday, particularly in the morning in St. Louis County and Chesterfield. I think Tuesday morning may be a little bit more okay. I don't think it's as significant because the snowfall rates aren't picking up. There's no doubt about it is it's cold, but when I show you what this may look like here Tuesday morning, I think we have, the snowfall rates are lighter, right? I've got, some light snow here in the morning on Tuesday, and I do think that it's going to be actively snowing Tuesday morning. I do tend to think it will be on the lighter side. However, the way you come home Tuesday or afternoon, that's when it really picks up. I think by Wednesday, it is bitterly cold. We have snow on the ground, but it's over. So if you're going to pick a day to stay home, it's Tuesday. I do fear that with the Arctic cold and snow left over and the side streets, Wednesday will be a day where a lot of people are staying home or doing remote learning days or all the above by Wednesday, even into Thursday as well. So that's one thing, and that's in St. Louis County and Chesterfield. So that is an update there. Let's see, we've got anything for Williamson County, Illinois. I think we're going to see some pretty, further off to the northeast that you are here, I think, in terms of, snowfall. Let's see, let's figure this out. Let's see, in terms of, snowfall, I do think that, as we get closer to, on 57 here, let me pull that to the south. You'll notice that, watch where I pull this here. So this is a question, I know this is out of our viewing area technically, but we always like to answer those questions. And I do think that you're going to get, some pretty significant snow, right? I think this is kind of settling in where you're still having some pretty decent snow here. So I would expect that it's close to, 10 inches of snow is not out of the question. So that's one question that we have there. As I put that back on, let me look at the next question. I'm driving back. This is 943 number. I'm driving back from Memphis on Wednesday. I think it's going to be just fine. If you're driving back somewhere on Wednesday, the major roads are going to be okay. The snow's over. It's really cold, though. And there may be some snow blows across the interstate at times in that regard. So that's one question. That was from a 943 number. Cuba 44 corridor, definitely you're getting some of the most snow. I think that, as I show you where these darker shades are from Rolla to Cuba by Tuesday night, that's a spot that it's going to get a lot of snow. That's upwards of a foot of snow pretty easily. So that's one thing. 618 number, 954. Do you anticipate our winter storm watch to turn into a warning? Yeah, in some regard I do. I just don't know where that's going to be yet as I pull this back up for you. And I think a lot of it has to do with what I just showed you, which are the counties that the national, so there's a lot going on in this map, and a couple of them are for, this one right here is for snow tomorrow. There's a light band of snow in northern Missouri. The second part of it is, of course, what we're dealing with right now. And Springfield office has already gone ahead and said, we're getting freaking snow, okay? Like, it's happening. And we agree with that, right? They're getting snow. And so that's why you have a couple of counties that are involved in that right now, where you see obviously Rolla and, but it's a matter of where does the National Weather Service office in St. Louis want to add those pink counties under the warning. And I do think that, Farmington, areas to the south is a pretty good bet. But, if St. Louis and those areas are going to get 6 to 10 inches of snow, then we're going to see that. And then it's a matter of, do we add spots to the north? Are we going to get enough snow for a winter weather advisory? Things like that. I think that's what they're kind of mulling here as well. So they're going to try to figure out what's proper, and that way, for if nothing else, right? It's kind of hard for me to explain to you in this regard, and that's kind of what we do, right? But when you see all these colors, it can be a little confusing, and our National Weather Service office does a great job at trying to figure out, okay, one of these is over, now let's have a uniform one where, this is what we're dealing with here, this is what we're dealing with here. That way we don't have 3, 4, 5 advisories, watches, warnings. It's all confusing. So that's one of the things that we try to figure out in terms of that. So next question, how much snow for Florissant? I really think that, I could probably start to hammer off a couple of these questions here, because that's a 6 to 10 inch deal. Once again, you're still in that belt that I've kind of showed. Same with St. Charles at the 699 number. How much snow in Highland? Same thing, 6 to 10 inches here in Highland. A question from 250, will school be called off with the snow emoji? Depends on where you are and depends on the school. I think there's going to be a lot of schools that call off Tuesday. Now, unlike the last storm, where, if you'll recall, Scott and I came up here and talked at great length about how there was going to be a high bust potential in that area that was around 32 to 34, and that's kind of what happened. Driving was okay. It only got bad for about an hour. And even areas off to the northwest where we were expecting more snow to that northwest area didn't get quite as much because they had some dry air settle in. I'm not sure that we're going to have that this time, and the duration. It's plenty cold, and it's going to be difficult to travel Tuesday for sure. So that's where we are right now. Ooh, I got a how much snow for Tulsa. My goodness, this stream is freaking everywhere. These guys are falling 5+ everywhere. Well, let's just see if I can figure that out just by spitballing it and looking at what we have. And I'm going to try to figure this out for you. We've got a Tulsa request on the line, ladies and gentlemen. We got Tulsa. Let me see if I can move this in. And where Tulsa is, of course, on 44, I've moved that around. Let's see. I think you're going to get, let me see. Let me pull up some of my maps here. And I'm going to go down to, let's see. Let's go down to here. Do this little offline deal. Find this deal. How much snow for Tulsa? I think in Tulsa, you're most likely dealing with upwards of, let's see, let me go to the state, because this is a little easier on this particular map here. Go to Oklahoma. For Tulsa, I would bet at this point, you're just kind of on the northern edge of things. So I would bet you're looking at about 3 inches of snow. You may see some mix in there as well. So we got a Tulsa question on the live stream. Let's see what the next one is. What about Calhoun County, Illinois? Same type of thing. I really think that a lot of us, as I pull this back up and switch to this, like I said, a lot of us here are going to get that 6 to 10 inches. Let's see. As we look at, we look at that. We've got a little further south. We've got even some people that are hanging out here with us from Stoddard County, Missouri, which is a little further south, south in Mark Twain National Forest, close to Poplar Bluff. And I would bet that you're going to get, somewhere, let me look at this. I'm going to double check before I tell you, but I really think that, switch back to Missouri. To me, you're still in that 10 to 16 inch thing that I have on here. So that's Stoddard County, Missouri. We've got Laura from Centralia. Let's see, from the Centralia standpoint, it's another spot I've driven through quite a bunch. I still think you're probably in the closer to 10 to 12 range. So thanks for that comment, Laura. When is the snow supposed to start on Tuesday? I would expect for a lot of us, we'll see it start after 2 or 3 a.m., but it's really going to ramp up in intensity and coverage in the early afternoon hours. So I don't want you to be disappointed if it's not snowing a lot for you for the first part of Tuesday. The second half of the day, that's when the snow really, really starts to pick up. So that's one question we have. Our next one is, how much is DeSoto getting? So let me figure that out for you as we talk about, where we're talking about that, just in terms of, snowfall, you're still, to me, you're still in that 10 to 12 inch range the further south that you go there as well. That's a good question there. I got another question. My daughter is planning on driving back to St. Louis on Tuesday from Oklahoma City. What can she expect weather-wise? I think she's going to be dealing with a lot of issues because it's going to snow much sooner. As I pull this back up, it's going to snow much sooner from Oklahoma City up 44. Watch when this starts as early as, if you're on 44, I think you're going to start to see snow on 44 as early as 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And it's a steady diet of snow, which increases really from south central Kansas all the way into the Panhandle on 44. It's going to pick up in the early afternoon, as you can see right behind me. That's where it's really going to pick up. So I think that's a drive I would not make at that point. I would try to get either wait throughout the day, but I really would, if you're going to be able to do it, you've got to get up early and do it. It's not that long of a drive, all things considered, but if you're going to do it, you've got to do it early, because the later you wait, the more that heavy snow picks up into the early afternoon hours. So that would be my first guess. How much is Poplar Bluff getting? Same type of thing. I really think that you're in the 12 to 14 inch range in that regard. How much snow? The next question I have is, how much the expected total has gone up in the last 48 hours. Do you have an idea or hunch it may go up again? From Richard and Baldwin. Thanks for that. I think it might to some degree, because I've showed you those probability maps, and I'll show you those again. And I just used St. Louis as a metric, but I pulled the other ones up, right? And these probability maps all tap into that computer data, but they also are monitored by the National Weather Service and kind of feed into that. And as we start to look at that bullseye, I think it's not out of the question that these numbers could nudge up just a little bit, especially in that core of that bullseye to the south. However, I do think that overall we're in a pretty good spot. Like I said, a lot of it has to do with the fact that our snowfall ratios make this a little more challenging, because we're somewhere here where you got this dry snow to, we're not even close to 30. I mean, we're going to be in the mid-teens, and it's cold at the surface and above. And as we're talking about 1 inch of water, I can pull up simply just an idea of how much liquid precipitation that we're going to get to kind of give you an idea. And I'll use this expected rainfall graphic here. It's going to say this, but obviously we're not getting rain, right? Okay, so just use that for your metric. So when I talk about liquid precipitation and snowfall ratios, this is what we're looking at. So if 1 inch on a normal day goes to 10 inches of snow, well, if it's now we're talking about 1 inch going to 20 inches of snow, right? With that metric, now you're looking at, okay, well, there's a possibility of 10 inches of snow in St. Louis. But look where Springfield is. That's where most of the liquid is going to be. And that's why there's such a bullseye for, that's why there's such a bullseye when it comes to this, because that's where the liquid is going to be. And it's already no doubt cold. So that's where you're going to see 15 to 20 inches of snow in some cases. That's why they already have a winter storm warning. There's no doubt about it. They're going to get a lot of snow. But we're kind of on the edge of this, right? And you're still getting it here, but those numbers are between a half an inch of rain to 2/3 of an inch. And so that's where we are right now. And it's deriving, are we going to get that snowfall rate that is upwards of, are we going to get the snowfall rate that is somewhere between here where you have 15 inches per inch of water, or 20 inches per inch? That's where we are living right now. So that's one of the reasons that the totals have kind of moved around a little bit. So that's hopefully that answers your question there, Richard. I do think that we're kind of okay with where we are. We may see an inch or two higher in St. Louis and some of these other spots. Areas up to the southwest, not out of the question because of this, and a little bit more moisture, and snowfall rates could go up. You could see upwards of 20 inches in some cases. So that's something that we'll monitor. The further southwest you go, that chance goes up. Is there a system where schools should be planning on early dismissal on Tuesday? I do think so. Yeah, I think this is one of those things that we should be looking at. Union, Missouri, closer to 10 inches than 6 inches? I do think so. That's a good question. I did have that one that rolls in there as well. St. Clair County, same type of thing. I do think you're in the 6 to 10 inch range. Bond, Clinton County line in Illinois. Do you think about the shift north or south? Bond is 3 to 6, Clinton is 6 to 10. I think, you're probably living closer to that 6 inch range just because of the consistency of how long this snow goes for, right? Let me pull this back out. Just because of how long the duration goes for, right? I mean, you're talking about 3:30 in the morning, light snow continuing, and then maybe a little break in Illinois there, and then more of that continues. So I really think that you're probably on the 4 to 6 inch range there, but things could get a little higher, but watch how that trend continues into the evening hours. So that's kind of where I see it at this moment right now. How many inches of snow predicted for Carrollton, Greene County, across from the Mississippi from St. Louis? I really think you're in the 6 to 10 range as well. I'll pull that map back up for you guys that are just now joining us, and I'll put this back on. And we appreciate some of your text questions here as well as we continue to settle in with what's going on the rest of the night. 6 to 10 inches of snow in a lot of our area, but 10 to 16 inches as well for a lot of us as well. Question from 636-232. What kind of hourly snowfall rates do we expect? Will there be any thunder snow? I don't see any thunder snow with this. The instability isn't there. It's awfully cold. This is purely a cold air system, but we could get up to 1 inch per hour snowfall rates. It's not out of the question, especially closer to where that liquid access is that I showed you to the south. It's not out of the question that we could see some high snowfall rates with this. I don't think that we're going to see the 2 to 3 inch snowfall rates that we have in some times where there's thunder snow, but this is definitely something that is not out of the question. So that's a good question there, 636-232. I got 636-221. Is it possible to be able to fly out of St. Louis Tuesday at 1 o'clock? It's possible, but I'm sure that the airlines are, going to be really taking a hard look at this and doing some delays and cancellations. There's going to be a lot of that here coming in on Tuesday. I got 314-303. Can you please tell everyone to be mindful of the snow and not to drive like they live in St. Louis and just stole a vehicle? I don't think they're going to listen to me. They barely listen to me anyway, so I wish that. How does St. Genevieve, thank you for your reporting. How does St. Genevieve look in terms of snow? Do we need to be concerned about power outages? I think power outages are probably unlikely because this is a light snow. It's not going to stick to the trees. It's going to blow around, so I don't know that power outages are a significant concern with this. But St. Genevieve is definitely going to be teetering closer to that 10-inch range or maybe a little more simply because of its just proximity to where I think we're going to get more moisture and where the storm consistently delivers that. 314-502 asked, how about the evening commute on Tuesday at 6:30 in St. Louis? I think it's going to be rough. I really do. And I'll go back to this as I show you this widespread snow, and I pull this at 6 o'clock at night. They said 6:30. Let me pull that right to 6:30 for you. That's what we're dealing with. Pretty consistent snow everywhere, right? And I think that's one of the things that we'll look at for as well. Another question I got, will it be more bad Tuesday than Wednesday for travel conditions? Absolutely. Tuesday's the worst day by far. Tuesday's the worst day. Wednesday it's cold, but the snow's over. Is this all snow for St. Louis, or will there be ice mixed in? This is all snow. It's another question I had from 974. How much in Washington, Missouri? I think you're going to get close to. I think you're on a high side of things, right? I think you're closer to a foot of snow in Washington, Missouri. I really do. I think you're kind of right on that edge where we're going to get a lot of snow. 10 to 12 inches at least. We're from STL and live in Kennett. How much snow can we expect there? So you've got some travel conditions here. Let me pull this up for you specifically. I think, in terms of snow, if you have to drive back, you're going to be dealing with some pretty decent snow, but I think you're kind of on the southern edge where you're probably going to get 8 to 10 inches of snow in that case, well to the south. So thanks for that question from Kennett, Missouri. Afton, you're still in that 6 to 10 inch range, maybe 8 to 10 inch because you're far enough south. 618 number, do we need to worry about ice for the metropolitan STL area? This is not going to be an ice storm. This is all snow. We are all dealing with snow here at this point. What does the snowfall look like for Indiana on Monday and Tuesday? I can pull that back out for you here as we talk about what's happening. And, when you've got snowfall here, and I'll drag this, and I'm going to hit enter so that it doesn't bother me as much when I'm just editing this. And I'm going to go over to Indiana. This is kind of following those areas, right? Watch where this goes into Indiana. I don't know where you are specifically, but Monday you've got some light snow that may hang around. But as we got more of this snow that settles in, watch the axis of snow south of Bloomington, south of Indy. That's where you're dealing with a lot of that snow here in Indy and Indiana specifically. So how much snow in Arnold? You're in that 6 to 10 inch range the next 3 days. So like I said, I think that's in pretty good shape. Shiloh, Mount Vernon, same type of thing. You're in the 6 to 10 inch range as well. 618-204. Thanks for that comment. What kind of snow on Monday? Kirkwood will do. Not really much snow on Monday. You may get a light dusting again. It will snow in some regard on Monday, but Monday is not the big snow. This is a few light snow showers, maybe up to a half an inch further to the north. Not as much of an issue. Will Arnold fall into the 6 to 10 or higher? Yeah, your Arnold is in the 6 to 10 or higher. Absolutely. I think you may see upwards of a foot of snow, but you're definitely in a 6 to 10 inch range that I'm pretty comfortable with here at this moment. So that was 314-221. Thanks for that. Best guess on air travel setbacks at Lambert. I think there's going to be, I don't know that they're going to shut down the whole airport. I think it'll be open for part of the day. There's at least some delays. There's a lot of de-icing. It's a matter of the visibility. It's a matter if they can get the runway cleared off. It's going to be snowing. I think there are going to be some times where it may not be snowing as hard. They may try to get some people out of here. I think the further you go into the evening, the more likely you are to be stuck here, at least till Wednesday morning. So that would be my best guess in that regard. What day would it be? I've got 618-334. What day would it be better for someone to go to work, Tuesday or Wednesday, when they have a disability with walking? I think Wednesday's better because they'll at least hopefully have cleared some things off as well. Have surgery scheduled for Tuesday morning from Phillipsburg, Missouri to St. Louis. I think that morning is going to be better. I wouldn't cancel it, I think, at this point. Let me look at that exact drive for you and kind of give you an idea. Because self-admittedly, I've never been to Phillipsburg, so I got to take a double check. So now that I know. So if you're driving in my mind, that's going to take you, obviously, you're going to be dealing with a 2.5 hour car ride would be my guess. So I don't know what time your surgery is, but let's say it's at 9 o'clock in the morning and you're getting up at 5, okay? So you drive there, you're ready to go. I don't know what kind of surgery it is, how long it's going to take. Let's say you're out of there, best case scenario, by noon, and then you're driving back. By the time you drive back, I think you're driving in the worst snow. So it's going to be much more of a challenge to get back than it is getting there. So I hope that makes sense and allows you to make a change or a plan ahead. How much snow in Peevely? I think you're once again into the 6 to 10 inch range, probably closer to 10 in Peevely. Will this be good snow for building a snowman? Absolutely not. This is a very dry snow. I'm going to charge up my leaf blower and I'm going to blow this stuff around. I'm not shoveling it. I'm blowing it around. It's going to blow everywhere. The more you drive on it first, the more it's going to pack down, and you can't do that anymore. But it's going to be fun to use my snow blower. Although, what time is it supposed to start in St. Clair County? Thanks, Bree. I think you're going to see more of this in St. Clair County. It'll be there as early as 5 or 6 in the morning, but you're going to see the heavier stuff in St. Clair County by about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I've got do you think it's possible to be off school all week in Sullivan? No, I don't think so. I think there's 2 to 3 days, depending on your school administrator. Tuesday's a day that seems like a certainty. Wednesday, I think at some point they're going to start to clear the roads, but by Wednesday and Thursday, it's significant Arctic air that's dangerous, where it may feel like it's 15 to 20 below. So that goes into the play. And also, it's not really something we've talked about a bunch, but I'll get to once I get through your questions here, because we're going to have real cold air settling in. But I'm trying to go through all these questions here. How much snow will Odin, Illinois, and Carmi, Illinois get? You're in that 6 to 10 inch range as well, probably closer to the 6 inch range at that point. How much snow is Wildwood expected to get total? I think you're going to get upwards of 8 inches in Wildwood. Is Montgomery County, Missouri looking at 10 inches of snow? Yeah, I think you're probably closer to the 6 to 7. You're kind of on the northern edge of where this system is going to sit in that area. How much snow between St. Charles and St. Peter's? I think probably upwards of 6 to 8 in those areas. How much is going to Cape Girardeau going to get? It's closer to 10 to 12. That is from 636543. How much does having the two rivers affect the weather models? Is that why a lot of the time St. Louis is right on the line for different weather predictions? Not particularly. The rivers don't really do much for that. I think the fact that we have all this Gulf moisture, you'd be surprised as a person from Kansas City and that has lived here for a while and been back and forth. The weather's quite a bit different from St. Louis to Kansas City. We obviously have the Ozark Mountains in between. We also have pretty good surge of Gulf moisture that's pretty impressive that comes up from up the Mississippi River Valley. So that's probably the biggest thing. Andrea in Steelville asking 10 inches. Yeah, I do think that that's possible. I do think that we have that possible. The possibility for 10 inches of snow, I think it's even higher. I think maybe 12 plus inches in Steelville, Andrea. So that's where I think we are with that. How much snow is expected for House Springs? I think 8 to 10 inches is possible in House Springs. Fenton has a question. You're still in that 6 to 10 inch range in Fenton as well. How much for Washington County? Which one? We got two in my area, but I'm going to say overall at least 6 inches. I'm not sure which Washington County because we got them on both sides. I'm learning. Let's see. How much snow for Edwardsville? I think I'm pretty confident in saying you're on the northern edge of things here. Right on the edge. That's a good question. You're in that 3 to 6 inch range. So I would say you can bet around 4 to 6 inches, right about there. I think that's kind of where I feel you're in pretty good shape there in Edwardsville. 314580. My dad always says if it comes up 44, we get our biggest snows. Probably not out of the question. I think that's a good point. Usually brings a little of that moisture to the south, and that air brings in. How much snow for Hillsboro? I think once again you're in that 8 to 10 inch range pretty easily. Let's see. Is it predicted to be like the first winter storm back in January? How does Chesterfield look? I think there's some similarities, but one of the things that I do want to look at is the fact that this is all snow, right? And I'll pull this back on myself here for a second. This is all snow, right? Let me pull this and put this map on. The difference in January, we started off, if you'll recall, a little above freezing, and then it was 28, and we had that mixed bag of precipitation, and we had all this stuff, and we don't have that this time. This is all snow. There's no doubt about it. It's all snow and it's cold, right? And that time was the heavier snowfall, right? And I pulled up this snowfall ratio deal again, and I will once again. We're seeing our temperatures that are closer to this, where we have temperatures in the teens. And so as a result, you're going to see this very, very fluffy snow. That wet snow is a lot heavier. So that's 20 pounds per cubic foot. It was somewhere between 15 pounds a cubic foot. This dry snow is going to be 2 to 3 pounds a cubic foot. It's a lot lighter. So it'll blow around pretty easily, which is good and bad. The good thing is it's easier to get out of your driveway and it won't compact down like the ice and stuff did in your neighborhood. The bad news is once you clear it, the wind blows back on your, that's what happens. So I think in Chesterfield, you're looking at around 8 inches of snow here at this point. How's Columbia looking for Wednesday? I think you're dry, but it's really cold. So that's the first question. What time did you say 314775 is going to start in St. Louis County? I think it starts as early as 3 a.m., but we may get periods and lull periods at times throughout the day in terms of an intensity and coverage, but I think it really picks back up into the afternoon. What time is it starting in STL? How much snow for Redbud? I think you're upwards of, like I said, it starts, like I said, after 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning pretty easily, and it's consistently around. We'll see a lot of breaks from that, but I think it really picks up late in the evening. Is this storm more likely to shift north or south if there's a shift? It's a good question. I think it's more likely to shift further south, simply because of this cold air, high pressure dome to the north, I think. But I think it's moved as far south as it wants to at this point. How much snow should we expect in U City? I think you should expect about 8 inches of snow in U City. A question is, we are right on the boundary line. When will it actually start in St. Charles County? How much for Wentzville? I really think a lot of this is going to start after 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But in terms of the boundary line, I think that's a good question. I really think that you're going to get, somewhere between 5 to 6 inches in that specific area in St. Charles County. If you're in Wentzville, I think you're kind of right. I think you're kind of right there, about 6 to 7 inches. You're kind of on the northern side of that. Whereas in Wentzville, same type of thing. 6 to 8 inches of snow is right there as well. And I'll flash this back on, see if we have any more questions here as I continue to go up. I'm trying to get to all your questions here from 5-10 minutes ago. How much snow for Lake of the Ozarks? You're going to get 15 plus inches of snow in Lake of the Ozarks. We live in Dixon, and my husband works in St. Louis. How long will the snow stick around? It is going to be around for most of Tuesday. It's out of here Wednesday. So I think driving is a little better on Wednesday, especially on the major interstates, as is the case. But you're going to get 12, 13, 14, 15 inches of snow to the south. Traveling to Flint on Tuesday, what will my travel be like? If you're driving, it's easier because you can get out of town sooner. If you're flying, the later you wait, the longer that is going to be. 314-943, the snow conditions on Tuesday in Memphis. I'll pull that up for you here. And if I haven't got to you, I haven't got to the list here. I'm working on all these questions, and you know, I think as you look at Memphis here, let's see, on Tuesday, you're going to see snow as early as the evening in Memphis. That settles in. It's still with you in Memphis, and then I think it's out of here by 7 o'clock in the morning on Memphis. Somebody asked, did Tracy eat all of her cheese? I believe she did. Thank you for that question. It's an important question for Valentine's Day. Got Tracy some cheese for Valentine's Day because it was easy. Hi, will Arnold fall into the 6 to 10 inches or higher? Good question. I think Arnold is in the 6 to 10 inch range. I think that's where we are, feeling pretty comfortable with this right now. 301-807 question, accumulation rate per hour that we should expect Tuesday morning. I think it's a lot lighter. I think if you're talking about Tuesday morning, I would say that we're going to see about 1/4 of an inch per hour, maybe 1/2 an inch at best. This is much, much lighter Tuesday morning. The intensity rates are really going to go up throughout the afternoon on Tuesday. How about Eureka? 6 to 10 inches of snow. So that's the question in Eureka. I'm catching up to a few. Plowing in Bridgeton, what should I expect? I would expect that you're going to see a lot of the snow blow back across the road, but in Bridgeton, you know, you're going to probably see at least 6 to 8 inches of snow, if not maybe up to 10 as well. So that's a good question. What time should we leave Hazelwood area on Tuesday going toward Edwardsville to avoid the worst? The sooner you're up, the better, but I think as long as you get where you need to be before noon, it's the second half of the day that's much worse in terms of the intensity picking up. So if you're going to stay in Edwardsville for the rest of the night, you're in good shape. But if you want to get there and get back, the sooner the better for your leaving as well. How much snow can we expect in Lincoln County, Missouri? Same type of thing. I think you're probably dealing with 3, 4, 5 inches of snow here to the north. I think that's the best bet for that. How much snow for Park Hills? You know, I really think that you're going to be dealing with 6 to 10 inches of snow overall. So that, thanks for that question. Which most likely day to get plowed? Definitely Tuesday. Definitely Tuesday. 636-495. I have clients flying home on Wednesday. Will that cause delays? I think Wednesday's good. The airport should be back at full strength, providing all the planes got here. But there may be some minor delays. But I think that weather-wise, you're in much better shape here at that point as we get closer to Wednesday. Because most of this will be out of here. 314, where is all this snow coming from? We have a system that's coming in from the west and southwest that'll be dropping down and providing that. 417, thanks for your coverage to help make the decision. Okay, perfect. That was an answer from somebody that asked a question earlier about surgery, so good to know. Glad that helps. What's expected from Baldwin from Tuesday at 4 to 8? It's going to be snowing hard. I think that's the worst travel time. Without a doubt, Tuesday evening, I think, is going to be the most difficult. Troy, Missouri, looks like it's on a borderline. How much do you think for Troy? I think you're about 4 or 5 inches for Troy, Missouri, I think is where that is. That's a good question. How much snow for Americus, Missouri? Richard. Thank you, Richard. Let me figure that out for you. I'm going to figure that out. Let me double check so I can double check where that is. Montgomery County. And let me give you my best guess here in terms of, I think you're probably going to see 5 to 6 inches, Richard. So that would be my best guess here at this point. 636-579, do you think there'll be a snow day for schools in West County on Tuesday? I really do. I think there's going to be a lot of school cancellations and warranted on Tuesday. I really think it will. Because at the very least, In my opinion, Tuesday would be a day where if you're going to go to school and do a half a day or something, go to school or virtual learn or whatever it may be. But the evening is going to be a lot harder to get where you need to be. I do think that's going to be a hard evening commute. Topeka to St. Louis via 70 on Tuesday afternoon. I would pick Wednesday. I think Wednesday's a better bet. Wednesday's a lot safer. Tuesday, it's tougher. If you get up in the morning and do it Tuesday, that's okay. But if you get there after, and I've made the drive to Topeka from Kansas City a bunch, I think if you get up in the morning and do it first part, 7 a.m., I think you're okay. You're going to be dealing with some snow, but after that, it's going to be a little more dicey. Do you think there will be school in Mascoutah on Tuesday? I don't think so, but I'm not in charge of the schools. That's not where the heaviest snow is, but it still can be difficult. How much snow expected in Collinsville? 6 to 10 inches, I think you're around 8. And it will start as early as 5 a.m., but it's going to be a lot heavier in the afternoon. As I continue to catch up to these questions, even some of them from 10 minutes ago. So I'll put this back on. I'm just trying to catch up to questions here on the text line. How much snow will in Fredericktown? I don't know if your name is Will or you're just will there fall in Fredericktown. I think you're going to get upwards of 15 inches of snow in Fredericktown. It's going to be a lot of snow to the south. Downtown St. Louis, still between 6 to 10 inches. I think that's where you are at this moment. Washington County, Missouri, thank you so much for that. Let's see. So from a Washington County, Missouri standpoint, you're going to get somewhere between 10 to 15 inches of snow. It's going to be quite a bit more here as we look at, more of this. I mean, that's where I really think the band of the heaviest snow is. 15 plus inches of snow is not out of the question here at this point. So that's a good question there. Just tuning in, I'm located in North St. Louis County, unincorporated area. We're going to get near Florissant. I think you're upwards of 6 to 8 inches in Florissant. How much for Maryland Heights? 6 to 10 inches. For the most part, what are the chances of this shifting north? I don't think we're going to get too much of a shift north. If we do, it's going to be very minimal, and I don't know that it's going to increase our snow much more than an inch or two. So that's where I see it right now. How much in St. Louis County? That's still in the 6 to 10 inch range. We kept the map up there for you. How about Troy, Missouri? I still think you're in the 3 to 5 inch range. I think 3 to 4 inches at the very least. And then let's see. Somebody had some advice for the person on surgery. Try to get a hotel in St. Louis area close to the hospital on Monday and Tuesday night. They have some good deals from Valley Park to Hampton. Todd suggested that. So not a bad question. Maybe save you some time and make sure you still get that necessary surgery. So Alton, Illinois, you're still going to get upwards of, I would say 4 to 5, maybe 6 inches of snow in Alton. You may be closer to that 6-inch range. I live in Ironton, and I have an appointment at the VA hospital in Poplar Bluff, 8:30 Wednesday. What do you think? I think it's okay by then. I think the snow's over, but you're going to have a lot of snow. Just depends on how well it's cleared up. But I do think that they have been able to clear the roads. Should be done with snow by that point. So that's where I think we are at that point. Potosi, same thing. You're going to get some pretty significant snow. Same with Park Hills. Is Sparta, Illinois on the line of 10 inches of snow? I believe that we are going to be dealing with, I think you're a little closer to that, in terms of, the snow. I think you're going to get probably closer to that 8, 9, 10 inches of snow in Sparta. Farmington, let me pull the Farmington lineup. Same with Park Hills. You're going to get upwards of 10 plus inches of snow. That is from 573, 356. I'm trying to make sure I click on all these. How much snow in Farmington? I'll pull up the Farmington odds map because that's one of the spots that I have here in terms of the potential for snow. And you'll look at that odds. I mean, the odds for over 12 inches of snow are pretty high. I mean, you're upwards of, 34%, and you're going to get probably at least 8 inches of snow. There's some high probabilities for high snow here by Wednesday morning. 618-971, how much snow will O'Fallon, Illinois get? What time is the snow going to begin? I think it could begin as early as 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. You may get a brief lull by mid-morning into the early afternoon, but then it's really going to pick up again. There's that. There's maybe that lull period in O'Fallon, Illinois by mid-morning, and then there it really picks up again. So let's see. When will it snow? Let's see. What will travel to Cincinnati, Ohio be like on Wednesday? Most of this is out of here. You may be chasing the snow, but it will be out of there if you're up in the morning on Wednesday. I think things are mostly clear at that point. How much snow is in Wapapello, Missouri? Well, you know, I always find new places to look up, and I'm finding where this is. No doubt about it. And now I'm going to learn, so that's impressive. I like that. That is a place I've never been, but you're going to get upwards of 12 inches of snow, I think. That's where we are right now with that, so thanks for that. What will the drive between St. Louis and Louisville, Kentucky be on Tuesday and Wednesday? We picked me up some brown waters down there. I could use some brown waters, but I think Tuesday is the day that I think is the most difficult. Tuesday for me is the day that's most difficult. If you're leaving the first part of Tuesday down there, I think you're okay. If you leave in the afternoon, the more likely you are to get caught in that snow. So leave early on Tuesday. Wednesday is much better. Notice how it's all out of there by Tuesday, or by Wednesday, by midday. Will drifting be an issue? Yeah, I do think so, because the snow is going to blow around and it's light, it's powdery, it's fluffy. So like I said, even if the roads are cleared, that snow is going to blow around. So that's going to be a challenge for us. How much snow for St. Peter's, O'Fallon? Upwards of really 6-7 inches of snow. High from the central west end. Will this be worse than the snowstorm at the beginning of the year? I think it's tough to say. I think in certain aspects, yes, in certain aspects, no. And I think the best way to answer that, as I pull this back to me real quick, is there are two differences. This is all snow. I think the last time we had sleet, we had freezing rain first, and that was the coat and the base, and then we had snow on top of that. So it was really hard to clear, and it stayed there forever. And this snow is going to be with us for 3, 4, 5 days at the very least, but it's powdery. And until it's driven on, it will blow around until it's compact down. So in terms of I think Tuesday, the second half of the day, that to me is when it's going to get more dangerous and tough to travel. But that being said, I don't know how worse. I don't know when we have the freezing rain and sleet, that's what shut the airport down. I could see the airport being shut down the second half of the day Tuesday, maybe not the first half of the day. So that's the way I see it right now. And it will be bitter cold and windy. How much for Alton, Illinois? You're still in that 3 to 4 inch range for me here at this point as well, as we're talking about what we're dealing with at that point. Let me pull that map back up for you. When will the snow end? Good question. I think it's after 3 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. What does it look like for Owensville? And I appreciate the comment there. What does it look like for Owensville? You know, from a standpoint of, I'm trying to make sure I got all these spots that are right on the border of when I draw these maps. I really think that you're going to get a significant amount of snow in Owensville, and I really think that you're going to get upwards of 12 to 15 inches of snow. It's a lot. It's going to be pretty consistent. How much snow in Washington, Missouri? I think you're upwards of 10 inches of snow. Will I be able to play my basketball game at St. Dominic Tuesday night, or will it get canceled? I'm leaning on the fact that I think it's probably going to get canceled. It's tough to travel with all this snow. How much snow for Eureka? We are around 8 to 10 inches in some cases. I think closer to 8 inches. For Sullivan, you're upwards of perhaps a foot of snow in Sullivan, if not more. Vandalia, how much are we going to get? I think you're upwards of 6 to 7 inches of snow in Vandalia. How much snow in Baldwin? You're upwards of 8 inches. Snow totals for St. Louis County by Murphy South Hospital. I think you're upwards of 8 to 9 inches in some cases, potentially. Ironton area, are they really expecting up to 16 inches of snow? Do you think we might lose power? I do think that we are going to see upwards of 16 inches of snow. It is very possible and likely at this point. That being said, for losing power, this is very powdery, dry snow. When we see the loss of power, like with the last system that I know you're referring to, we had the icing there, and it was on the power lines, and we had a lot of icing, and then we had the wind. This is all snow. It's very dry snow. It's not sticking to the trees. I think the power loss is very, very low in that sense. So that's a positive. So it would be very cold. Commute for me, St. Louis to southern Macoupin County, Tuesday evening around 3 and 4. It's going to be snowing hard, so prepare for that. How much in Jerseyville? Same type of thing. You're between 6 to 10 inches there. Thanks so much. Old veteran here for Ironton. Thanks for your service. Ironton, I really think that you're going to get upwards of 12 inches of snow, if not higher. When will the snow stop? Another question. I do think that that's going to be the case by 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning. And for St. Genevieve, you're going to see upwards of 8 to 10 inches in St. Genevieve as well, if not maybe closer to a foot 314-355, how much is snow between Arnold Tuesday and Wednesday? You are upwards of, I would say, you are upwards of, let's say, 8 inches of snow. How much will we get, okay, in DeSoto, Jefferson County, Missouri? I think you're upwards of 8 inches of snow as well. And then another question, will MoDOT do a better job this time? One can only hope. I think it will be a little easier, but the wind is not going to make it easier, and the fact that it's cold makes the salt work a little less effectively. How will it be Thursday? North County, really, really cold. And now that some of our questions are kind of coming to a close here, I'm going to pull this back out, and I want to show you just how cold this is, because as I look at the potential for temperatures here over the next few days, that's where we are. Look at these temperatures. I mean, it is really, really cold. I'll pull it on full screen. Really cold. Tuesday, Wednesday, look at those below zero temperatures and those readings. This is really consistently cold. I mean, we're going to see Thursday morning, it is downright frigid. And when I talk about wind chills, you know, I'm going to pull this up here because I think it is going to be just downright brutal. And I'm going to pull this up here, and I got a few more questions that are coming in, so I'm going to try to answer them here, and I'll put that back on here. As long as you guys keep asking these questions, I'll try to answer them before I shut the stream off. We have Web Guru Jacob on it, and he's dialed in. I'm going to change this to Tuesday. I'm going to change this to Thursday, and let's just do that. Watch these wind chills for Tuesday. Below zero. Look at Wednesday. Below zero, but look at Thursday morning. Look at this. I mean, you're talking about 10, 15 below. It's very, very cold. So I'm going to save that here. Pull that back out. Go to our winter storm watch. How much snow is expected? How much snow is expected in Clayton area, central west end? I really think that you're going to see somewhere between 6 to 10 inches. I think that works out pretty well the way I'm thinking of things right now. How much snow in St. Louis? 6 to 10 inches. Same goes for that. Not all that different. West Plains, you're going to see some higher amounts in West Plains. You know, I think you're going to see, you're going to see some higher amounts here in West Plains simply because, it's a little further south. That being said, you may be a little further south where you're only going to get 12 to 14 inches, where there's going to be some sort of 15-plus inch bullseye, I think, in some cases. As Ellsbury, Missouri, that's my next question. Ellsbury, Missouri, what you're going to get in terms of snowfall. We have still got, we've still got probably upwards of 2 to 3 inches in Ellsbury. I think that's where we are right now. How much is snow in Arnold? 6 to 10 inches. Let's see, we got thumbs up from some Russian bot on there. We live in French Village, Missouri. What's the snow supposed to be like there? All right. Let me double check for you, as we've got some heavier snow down there closer to Deloge and French Village. I think you're upwards of 10 to 12 inches in French Village. So that is where we are with that right now. Let's see what time. When will snow start? Monday or Tuesday? There may be some light snow on Monday, but it's very light, so I don't want you to get confused with that. Tuesday, and in Chesterfield in the central west end, you're going to see more of that snow for the first part of the day. Let me switch this to this product here. You're going to see that snow consistently settle in for the first part of Tuesday, as I think it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then as it settles in and is consistent there, it's going to be around, but I really think it picks up in the afternoon and evening. It'll be lighter in intensity for the first part of the day on Tuesday, but it really ramps up later on. When is the last time people in this area have seen a snow as big as this one is potentially? We had some higher totals last storm system as well. So it really depends. I mean, this has been relatively common, but in terms of recent memory, 2 of these in a row, or not in a row, but in a month's time, we've got some pretty significant snow. Somebody asked, should I take off work Tuesday and Wednesday? I think Tuesday for sure. Wednesday is probably okay if you don't want to burn 2 days. I think Tuesday is a better day for it. It'll save you some trouble. How much snow is expected in House Springs? That's still in that 6 to 10 inch range, probably close to 8 to 10 inches. How much snow in Waterloo, Illinois? You're in that 8 to 10 inch range as well. How much snow at STL Airport? I think you're going to probably get up closer to 8 inches of snow. Let's see what the next question is. How much for Salem? Salem, once again, is going to be in that 10 to 12 inch range as well. How does the snow look in Illinois and Vienna? I think you're looking at upwards, once again, of 8 to 10 inches. Gerald, Missouri, another question, that's 10 to 12 inches. I think you're on the higher side. Wind chills are expected during and after the storm. I'll flash this on again. That was another question, and maybe I didn't do it at the right time. Look at these wind chills. Tuesday, the wind is going to consistently blow. It's going to feel like it's below zero. Wednesday, it gets worse. And then by Thursday morning, look at the rush of colder air. That is Thursday morning. You're talking about 10 to 15 below. Very cold. How much snow in Fairview Heights? 6 to 10 inches there. How much snow for Van Buren? 6 to 10 inches as well. Do you expect this to be the last polar type cold, bringing temperatures close to zero for the year? Long-term outlook. Always tough to say. I think this is most likely the last one, but it's not out of the question we could get this in March. It's happened before. That being said, I don't know that it's going to get this cold again. I think this is probably the last gasp of this. It can get cold again. I'm not sure it's going to be to this extent. This is pretty significant. How much in Columbia, Missouri? You're probably going to get 6 to 8 inches in Columbia, Missouri. How much snow in Hillsboro? Somewhere between 8 to 10 inches. How much snow for South County? 6 to 8 inches. Lesterville, you're going to get somewhere between 10 to 13 inches of snow. And will the snow totals be between Perryville and Cape Girardeau? Upwards of 13 to 16 inches. I think there's some pretty high numbers there. Let's see, how much for South County? Upwards of 6 to 8 inches. Thank you. I meant Johnson County, Illinois. Okay, no problem. I still think that's I think what I said probably. When will the snow melt in Alton? That's a good question. Let me show you when it's going to melt by the 10-day forecast. And I would bet it's going to be Wednesday of next week, right? We've got some better opportunities for melting there. How much snow will Carbondale get? Upwards of 10 to 12 inches. Amount and starting time for Lesterville. It will really start, I think it really is going to start by mid-morning on Tuesday, but it's really going to ramp up into the early afternoon, and you're going to see upwards of 12 plus inches. Do I think this will affect flights out of St. Louis Airport Tuesday morning? No, I don't think it's going to affect it as much Tuesday morning. I think there's probably maybe some delays, but if you have a plane here, that always helps. When we have to fly those planes in and they rely on connections, that's where it's difficult. But I think you're going to get out of here Tuesday morning. I just texted, are you Waterloo? And he answered 6 to 10 inches. Cool, thank you. Rush hour Wednesday morning. It's very cold, but providing the roads are clear, it should be fine because it will have quit snowing after midnight. They should have caught up. We're not in charge of that, as you know. We discussed that last time. Will this be a fluffy snow? Very, very fluffy snow. Very dry, powdery snow. How much snow in Bethalto? I would say upwards of 6 to 8 inches of snow in Bethalto. Snow totals for Farmington, you're talking about 12 plus inches of snow. I mean, pretty significant snow in Farmington as we continue to look at all this. With all the snow over the upper plains Dakotas, flooding on the Mississippi should be prepared. Just a heads up related to this. As you said this, there's not a ton of snowpack to the north. Now, I know that this is a lot of snow, but it doesn't garner a lot of liquid like we just talked about with that equivalent. So when we talk about that equivalent, they have their spring flood. They issued their spring flood outlook, and, that's kind of where we are with that right now. Now, in terms of how much snow we're expecting, I really think that overall, go there, that's popping up there. I don't know that that's going to create a huge flooding concern for us. Let's see. How much snow in Hillsboro? I think you're upwards of 8 to 10 inches. Do I see this rainy pattern changing anytime soon? I would like to dry out. I agree. I do think it will start to dry out here for a few days. How much snow in Clayton? Upwards of 6 to 7 inches. How much will it snow in Bourbon, Missouri? I think you're upwards of 10 to 12 at the very least. And will school districts in St. Louis County have a snow day on Wednesday? I don't know about that, but I do think the fact that it's really cold is going to be a significant issue for some schools. It may be at the very least a virtual learning day. I'm not sure that's any more fun. No snow, no thunder snow on Tuesday for St. Charles. Will the chemicals work with temperatures? They will work, but they're just not going to be as effective. When you have temperatures this cold, when we get to Tuesday, when you're this cold, they're just not as effective. They've got ways to do it. It's just not as effective, right? It's more effective when the temps are warmer. Tuesday morning in South County is okay. It's lightly snowing. It's much worse in the early afternoon. So as I continue to look at that, like I said, I will put this expected snow map on here for you. And that's where we are with this right now in terms of snow and what we can expect. I think I've answered most of the questions. If I get a few more after the fact, I'll do that. But that for now is, I'm going to end that now. Let's see what will it be like driving to St. Louis around 12 to 1 on Tuesday. I think the snow starts to pick up at that time. It gets a little worse. How much snow will we get tomorrow? Half an inch or less, not much tomorrow. So that's the main thing. Like I said, I'm going to end the stream. I've been talking for like an hour, so I'm going to probably eat something. It's not going to be that tasty because I'm going to eat some bad foods the next couple of days. And, honestly, when we have snow like this, who wants to do anything anyway? So I'm going to try to eat some vegetables or something. Last time we were talking about snow, I just wanted a pizza. So I don't get any pizza this time. I've been on a diet so that, I can fit into the suits and not bore you with that. But anyway, we're in good shape now. Like I said, you can always text your questions here. I'll try to answer them. But like I said, I'm going to end this stream now. I'll put this on a full screen and leave you with that for now, as I will let the guru behind the scenes end this live stream as we talk about that. So anyway, I need to change my batteries anyway. I've been talking for a while. We will see you later, and I will come to a close.